All right, so we're going to talk about two different spider drills today. It's just kind of a broad term to discuss dexterity drills, drills that you use to build independence between your fingers and good technique. So the first one is a drill where we're going to move across the entire fretboard. We're just going to move chromatically up from 5th fret on the E string. With my pick hand, I always go down, up, as I go through these notes. And so I try to build independence with my right hand as well while I'm doing this drill. And I aim for perfect technique as far as fretting just behind the fret, with putting all the pressure on the rear edge of the crown of the fret. My finger, it actually looks like I'm perhaps right on top of it, but really what I'm doing is applying pressure to the back edge of that fret there. You don't want to be directly on top of it, and especially over it, or too far back behind the fret. Any of those techniques are inefficient. So I want to be just behind the fret with my fingers as I move up. As I go to the next string, I'm going to keep my other remaining fingers on the string. I'm going to move my first finger over, then middle finger, then ring, then pinky. It's a lot harder than it looks. I'm in fact not very good at this drill. I don't do it very often, but I'm working with a student who needs a little help with dexterity, so I'm trying to bring this skill back. That's not very comfortable for me, so I could use a little time in the woodshed working on that drill. Coming back up this way, it's much easier. Now that's much faster than I would have any beginner do this. I just wanted to show you through the drill by going at that speed. There is no shame in going 60 beats per minute or so. Of course, I would use a metronome when I'm normally doing this. For the sake of time, I'm not doing that, but slower than that. Do half time of that. Whatever it takes, whatever speed it takes for you to build that dexterity, there's no shame. Do it as slow as you need to get the movements correct. Keep your movements small and aim for perfect technique, perfect fretting technique, and as little movement as possible and as clean and clear a note as possible. Not digging in, not doing silly, overplaying. Certainly work on not pulling or bending strings, pushing or pulling strings. Any tiny little pull sideways, you're pulling yourself out of tune. You're bending the string. So work on those technique things when you have this. You don't have a whole song form to worry about when you're working on drills. So you work on absolute perfect technique when you're working on drills. All right. The other spider drill comes from John Patitucci, and bass player. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the middle two strings. All right, on the D and G strings. I'm going to put my first finger like a power chord. First finger, 5th fret, D. Ring finger, 7th fret, G. Play those two notes. There's many ways you could pick this, so I'm not going to concern myself with how I'm picking it right now. I will say that generally I do down, up picking when I do this, but that's something for you to work out. Then I go 1 fret higher with my middle finger on the A string, then 1 fret higher with my pinky on the G string. So it's 5, 7, 6, 8. Again, trying to keep my fingers as close to the frets as possible, as close to the strings as possible when I'm not using them without touching them and getting clunkers and stuff like that, but I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. Then the second half of this drill is to reverse that pattern between your fingers. So instead of a power chord, I'm going to now be playing what's called a minor third. So that's ring finger, 7th fret, D, first finger, 5th fret, G, and then doing essentially the same thing that we did before. Pinky up 1 fret on the D, middle finger up 1 fret on the G. So that's 7, 5, 8, 6. So then we put these two together. As it turns out, what I'm actually doing is up, down picking. Which happens to be the most efficient way to get through this phrase. But you should, why not work on doing it down, up to kind of, take yourself out of your comfort zone. These are drills that I don't do very often. Usually what I do for dexterity practice is play scales. But these are good when, if you just don't know a lot of scales yet, if you're not, not there theory-wise, and need some, just basic dexterity work, these can help quite a bit. Now, Patitucci then goes on to like skip a string. Skip 2 strings. Let's see if I can even figure this out. Oops. Obviously, I could use a little work on that, but it's the same exact physical movement. I'm just skipping strings while I'm doing the same movement that we did before. So those exercises can help develop better tone, more dexterity, and help you, break habits like bending strings, overexerting. Most of what I see that when people are having dexterity problems, they're usually overexerting, usually pulling the string down so hard that they're actually pulling it to the side or pushing it sideways. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to fret perfectly, and that's what I want you to work on the most with these drills, is fretting perfectly. All right, thanks for watching.